Just because you're on the security team doesn't mean you have all the answers. And just because you're a developer who does a lot of security stuff doesn't mean you have all the answers either. And so when you're putting a program together, think about the developer training. One of the things that I did, and again, everybody's different, but it worked well for me, was having, when a developer was being onboarded to the company, I had them run through our training software for developers, and it would show them this is what a SQL injection or cross-site script. As a leader, it gave me an idea of the developer when they're walking in the door. How security minded are they? Because then that just really kind of helps. But also from the security standpoint, security guys may not have all the answers or know all the answers. So it's always important to continue to educate and grow, because like development and the tools in development, things change over time, and so does security, and you need to stay up to date.
Absolutely. Quick, helpful tips. We've got a few minutes to go through these. What are your final suggestions?
Well, kind of what I was talking about earlier, right? Go ahead. I think am I choppy?
Well, I didn't hear you, so I thought maybe it dropped out. I'll run through
Oh,
these just in case. So company-wide developer training, we just talked about that. It's really important to keep developers educated. Find a program that works for you. Help them understand what secure coding looks like, what your standards are, and how they can meet them, and make that often. So I would say something that is frequent and smaller in time is going to be more effective than once a year training. So definitely continue your company-wide developer training. I think we could probably have a whole conversation about generative AI, ChatGPT. I tend to be fairly skeptical about that. I want to make sure that our developers understand what they're doing before they just go to a machine to tell them an answer that may or may not be correct. It can be a massive accelerator, but with a lot of caveats. But I wouldn't discourage it, but I would say buyer beware. And then fail
yep.
forward. So I'll go through these and then I'll let you wrap it up. So fail forward, every time that
Perfect.
something happens that is a challenge, use that retrospective to get better. And I don't think I'm telling this to anybody who would find this surprising, but always find a way to take whatever challenges that you have and turn them into opportunities for success. So what did you learn? How do you take that forward to improve the next time these things happen? And then I think every team is different. So we've got, a lot of people on this call. Your context is going to be different than mine or Chris's. Your team is going to be different. The people that you're working with are going to be different. Make sure that you get the relationships and find out what's going on. We've talked about a lot of things that do work, a lot of things that don't work. You're going to have to adapt that to find out what works for you, understanding what you're trying to achieve, how you're going to achieve it, and how you can do that as a team is going to make you the most successful. Chris.
My power literally just came on, so hopefully it stays on, but I'm still on Wi-Fi and hotspot. It's Murphy's Law. But no, absolutely right. ChatGPT, the beautiful thing about it is you can type in what is an SSRF or different security find, and it will give you an answer. The problem, and this is something that Anthony and I talked about back and forth, was, is the answer correct? Or does it really meet the guidelines that your security team, wants? So I would encourage developers to play with ChatGPT and look at it, but you also need to make sure that from a security standpoint, you agree with the answers that it's giving. Just because it gives you an answer doesn't mean that it's right. But it is also on the flip side, and I've played with this and talked with teams about it. If you want a good example of what's a good SQL injection or cross-site script or whatever, one of the many, 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 you can just go in there and say, hey, for my language, C#, whatever language you're working in, give me an example of X and explain it to me. And it will. And then you can turn around and ask it, now, how do I solve this? And for the most part, it does a pretty good job, but it's not always right. And so mileage varies depending on the model that you're using and what's going on, but it's absolutely something to consider. And again, relationships count, right? So the biggest thing that's going to be a success in your team and for your security is when you actually do have those relationships. If you don't have them, start building them, because when you build those relationships, when something does happen, when you need that quick turnaround, it's going to happen. But if you don't have those relationships, that quick turnaround is not going to be there for you. All right, next slide.
I think we're on Q&A.
All right.
So one thing that I'm seeing just as a general comment is a lot of agreement that we are a community. So we succeed as a community. So I know people listening are in the same place that we are. So help each other out, reach out for help, join communities, ask questions, because we only get better by helping each other out. So I think that's the way we go. We've
Yeah,
got 3 minutes
let me
left.
throw one thing in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna do a plug and then we'll go to the next screen.
Yeah, go for it.
Here's my plug. If you are running the security team yourself and you are struggling, we do have a private community called
The AppSec Hive. Yes.
just totally lost because I've been doing podcasting all day, so I'm sitting here thinking
Yeah.
AppSec champions. AppSec Hive. Yep. So the AppSec Hive, if we have a private site for leaders who are running programs, it's not for vendors. So if you guys are leaders who are running application security programs for a position where you're not a vendor, and that is something that you could reach to next, if you don't mind, Anthony.
Absolutely.
Did you hear me? You there? Did I lose?
I did hear you. I I think we lost.
Okay. I heard you. Okay. Can you hear me again?
I can, yeah.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me? Okay.
I
So anyway, to follow me on LinkedIn, if you go here, send me a message if you're a leader and absolutely can be part of AppSec Hive, as long as you're not a security vendor, because we're trying to keep vendors out. It's really about people who are running programs. Uh, 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 Anthony,
so
thank you
uh,
so much for working with me on the stuff today. This has been a great conversation. I hope those learned a lot.
yep, it's been great. Thank you. I appreciate everybody who attended. I know we had some technical difficulties. I can't control when the power's out sometimes, but I hope you learned a lot. Feel free to reach out. Definitely click that QR code and join the LinkedIn. And yeah,
So I think I'm
hopefully we'll talk
cutting
to you
out.
another time.
Awesome. Thank you both, Chris and Anthony, and the team
Thanks
at
so much.
Lynda.io. I really appreciate it.